Hi guys, I'm fixing myself food and I just got off the phone with my grandmother. She's so cute because she was excited that she was going to have visitors today, which caused me to think like, gosh, that's so sad. Um, Not necessarily I mean, it's just sad when you don't get visitors because I remember when I was in the hospital a couple of times, and I never really noticed that I was alone until people started coming to visit me at the hospital. The first time I was in the hospital, I was a lot younger, and people were there every day. My parents, one parent or somebody was there every day. And I was older just a few months ago, and I was in the hospital. It was kind of like I expected to be at the hospital on my own because. So, what I was saying is that when I was in the hospital the last time, I didn't really expect people to come visit. And then when people started coming to visit, um, I mean, almost every day, maybe there was like one day that somebody didn't come visit. But when it was like once I got a taste of people coming to visit me, then I was like, I wanted people to come visit. And and I had a private room, and I think it's easier to kind of be forgotten about when you're in a private room. It's nice, but then at the same time, you don't like get a chance to see people, I don't think. With my grandma, because she's older, it's just nicer for people to be able to, for her to be able to interact with people, and because she's she's kind of weak and vulnerable, it's nice. And so her sister, right there now, and with my mom and one of my um, mom's cousins. I could tell, like when she could hear them getting ready to come into the room. And my grandmother's not a person that shows a lot of excitement, but that doesn't mean that she doesn't get excited about stuff. She just isn't that kind of person that gets all, like giddy and everything. Um, so yeah, it's nice that she has people there that she can that come to visit her. And my mom and my aunt are there. Between the two of them, if they're both not there every day, she has somebody there every day, which is good. But at the same time, I think that she wishes she had more, because that's what happens. I noticed it with me. Like I looked forward to knowing people were going to come visit, and then um, after that person came, I'm like, oh, or even if it was like the day before when people would tell me they were going to come, then it was like, oh, I'm going to have 3 people visit me tomorrow, or 2 people or something. And so then when the first one would leave, then I'm like, okay, yay, the next person will be here in whatever time it would be. So, yeah, nobody really could understand unless they spent a good amount of time in a hospital room, because the people who work there, they're not like your friends. They could be nice, but it's just not the same. So if you know of anybody that's in the hospital, a visit from you is along with like some sort of card or anything. It could be anything. It could be like some sort of pretty stone, or it could be some flowers, of course, something to brighten up the room. And the other reason you want to bring something is because that's a lasting feeling. So once you're gone, they can still look over at the window. I just point to myself. I could still look over at the window and see the cards, or on the ledge, see the flowers or the little trinkets that people brought. And also, I say it's important that the staff at the hospitals know that people are coming in and checking on you, and that people care or somebody cares. Because if you're in a room that is, there's nobody comes to visit, there's no remnants of somebody coming to have visited you, then unfortunately it kind of relays that nobody cares about you. And somebody, or if you don't have somebody calling, but stopping by is important, because you can call, they can tell you whatever they want to tell you over the phone. And you know so when the staff come in, the doctors come in, they see a room with some balloons. It doesn't have to be a whole bunch of stuff, but just stuff that relays that people care about you and they want you to get healthy. The doctors look at that as like, oh, that's really great that she has people like that that are rooting for her health. And then it also tells like the nursing staff, and it'll be good for them to take care of you too. Treat you well also. It's weird. It's important so that they won't feel like they can just ignore you, or what you need. Because that happened to me. One of my colleagues, that was coming to help take care of me when I was in the hospital, I had some post-operation complications, and I wasn't able to walk properly. And so I was still wanting to exercise, and when I say exercise, I mean just practice walking. I was on IV the whole time I was in the hospital, and I was, if you just think about the pole that with the IV bag hanging down, and it has like the 4-pronged legs, and I was like holding on to that like this, and I'm like walking, and my friend is next to me. Her name's Leah. Hi, Leah. She's walking, we're going like 0.003 steps per second, really, really slow. And she's just like, I just don't think this is safe. Like I'm holding on to this thing. She's like, what if, it slips? Or she was like getting a little upset that they didn't have something else for me to use. And she had said something to the nurse, and the nurse was like, she's fine. It's, well, you don't need a walker, do you? And I did not want a walker. You talk about like, I was like, no, I don't want a walker. Leah was like, you need a walker, because if you're going to be practicing, you need to be able to practice so that you don't have the possibility of falling and hurting yourself more. I mean, it made a lot of sense, of course. It's just that psychologically, to me, a walker was like, I didn't want a walker. Okay. This is an example of my friend taking care of me when I wasn't doing a good job, and the staff was, just kind of like, oh, she's fine. She doesn't need that. When in actuality, I ended up using it for a pretty long time. I mean, in my mind, it was a pretty long time. But, so the nurse was like, I'll order a walker. And they did, and I got a brand new walker. So if I had been by myself and nobody checking on me, I would have been like this. And who knows? I could have fell. That's why I say it's important. And being from my own perspective and knowing what it feels like to have people there and sometimes not having people there, it feels good. And then once I got home, I needed, unfortunately, some extra care. And so my friends came to the house. A lot of them were doing like tag teams. Like one person would come in the morning and somebody would come in the afternoon. And I kind of got addicted to that. And I started feeling like, oh no, this is going to change. Because I really, before all of that, I was like a loner. Like, I don't need to be around a lot of people. Like, it's fine. And I fought the whole, like, it was people taking care of me thing. It was very challenging. And I allowed it because I knew it was the best thing, and they all wanted to help me. So people were coming over, and they would let me know who was coming the next day. And so it was something that I was able to kind of look forward to. And when it started to dwindle down, or I don't know what triggered me to think of it, but when I thought and realized that, oh, they're not going to be able to keep this up like for the rest of my life. Like they're going to go back to their lives, because it was like serious triage thing. Like everybody just pretty much like incorporated what they were going to do for me in their lives, and they had to travel very far. Once I realized that, or thought like, oh, this isn't going to be able to keep happening, I was like a little down. I was like, oh no, I'm going to go back to how it was. Like, I see my housemates, obviously. Well, some days I don't. But like, I was just like, no, I don't want it to be like that. I want to be like more engaged with people. I mean, not too much. I mean, I'm still, like needs my private time, but when you're in the hospital, or when you're feeling unwell or vulnerable or whatever, and people are coming around and helping you, from my experience, I feel like I was getting addicted to it in a sense, or getting used to it, or expecting it, something. And expecting, it might be too not the word that I want to use, because that's like, if somebody doesn't do it, then you get upset. But it's kind of like, that it's going to end. And I think that's why sometimes people like have issues with being unwell sometimes, because of the attention. You can get used to the attention. It's nice when you have people doing stuff for you. and coming and spending time and hanging out. So I can understand, like with my grandma, her being in a hospital room. She has a private room, and that's good and bad, because you don't really see anybody unless they come into your room, and she's not really able to go out of her room. It's just important for us to be around each other, I think. I didn't think that before, but human connection, I think, is vital. You'll have people that might not agree, and that's okay. It's just that they still do get some human interaction, whether it's like social media, or if it's going to the store and handing the clerk the money. There's a need for it. And I just recognized in my personal experience that I like it to a certain degree, and I would like to have it more in my life. Not too much. I think I've said that already.